All right, good afternoon, everyone. We resume our council session today with the proclamation recognizing the Wheaton Arts Parade by Councilmember Navarro.
There we go. Is that on? Awesome. Well, this is a very special occasion because we are here to celebrate and to honor everyone who has been involved in launching and sustaining and creating this very special, I would say, memory and tradition in Wheaton, which is the Wheaton Arts Parade. And, you know, just a little bit of background. So Wheaton, it is an arts and entertainment district. And as we started to deliberate on the Wheaton Revitalization Project, one of the elements we wanted to make sure we incorporated was this notion of course, the public art that is right now in display at the Marian Friar Plaza. And in addition to that, we wanted to make sure that Wheaton was a priority when it came to arts and humanities. And so this particular parade has just really, I think, sparked this extraordinary tradition in Wheaton. And there will be some news pretty soon, I think, regarding the progression of the arts, of the Wheaton Arts and Cultural Center, which is a really important facility, amenity that I think will cement this area as a vibrant arts and cultural hub. And so today, I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I'm going to ask Dan Thompson, who's been incredible, really, really, truly, there from the very beginning, along with these amazing artists and members of WUDAC, who have truly been the engine behind this just beautiful, beautiful tradition. And he will, of course, then introduce everybody who is here after he makes, when he comes to make these remarks. And of course, I know that we have some of the posters from the Wheaton Arts Parade, as well as an amazing, right there, just incredible piece of art that, you know, very beautifully commemorates and captures what that hub, that center, the epicenter of Wheaton, which is the Marian Friar Plaza with the Park and Planning Building, what it represents. And I can just say that, you know, I can leave the county council feeling really good about the fact that Wheaton now has that hub in the center where families can come together, where everybody can come and celebrate. It was a space that was needed, and it was something that was a real priority for me as I had the honor to represent this district and also to push for this revitalization project, which I know so many people now are able to enjoy. So the proclamation says this: whereas parades have long been a way of communities to come together to celebrate their history and accomplishments, cultures and social organizations, schools and children, businesses and public servants. And whereas the Wheaton Arts Parade was created in 2017 with a unique mission among area parades to bring the community together with art, showcase local artists, and give community the opportunity to meet the artists who live and work in their community. And whereas the Wheaton Arts Parade has been produced annually now for 6 years, bringing culture, music, and vibrancy to downtown Wheaton, it has expanded its activities to include an art gallery and public art installations, demonstrating that Wheaton is an arts-friendly community and an inviting place to live and work. And whereas the Wheaton Arts Parade helped to activate the Wheaton Arts and Entertainment District that had been lacking in performance and gallery venues by bringing art and performances to the streets and public open spaces where it could be appreciated. And whereas the Wheaton Arts Parade has been dedicated to the promotion of local art, the most recent being the installment of 7 pyramids throughout the downtown Wheaton Triangle, with each pyramid representing not only Wheaton's diversity, but values such as connectivity, unity, hope, culture, nature, and our shared experience through the pandemic. Now therefore be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby recognizes the impact of the Wheaton Arts Parade as an important cultural event in Montgomery County. This is presenting on the first day of November in the year of 2022 by myself, council member representing this beautiful area of the county, Nancy Navarro, and by our council president, Gabe Albornoz. Congratulations to all of you for making this happen. And Dan, I'm going to invite you over so you can receive the proclamation and you can also introduce our wonderful guests as well.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Navarro. You see behind me a collection of artists and supporters, and they really represent 1/10 of all the people who have been involved since 2016, actually, when we came together to start the Wheaton Arts Parade. I'm just going to go through the group and introduce first Marta Taigaro and Elizabeth Salazar. They are connected because not are they only part of our Spanish-speaking community. They are, Elizabeth started the Yarn Bomb, and the Yarn Bomb has become a feature of the parade since 2018 or 19, and they decorate the lampposts and the railings around the plaza, and so all year long they will be working with mainly women in the community to crochet designs and then install them. And Elizabeth and Felisa started that. Marta has been working on the Yarn Bomb, but she also is one of the pyramid artists this year. And you can see her pyramid in the town plaza. It's beautiful. To their left is Tricia Gooley with Einstein High School, the Visual and Performing Arts Academy. And when I had this crazy idea, I said, well, we can have a parade, but where are we going to get the artists? And it was then that I learned about the Visual and Performing Arts Academy, went over and met with the faculty, and we decided that Einstein was going to be a significant player, making floats and parade art, dancers, marching band, jazz band, and so every year they've been with us. And thank you very much for your leadership. To her left is Pablo Oliveira, and he is with Strathmore. Strathmore recognized the importance of this Arts Parade and Festival as a way to reach out to the eastern part of the county, to constituents that may not be coming to their performance center, and so they have been providing at least 3 performers every year to grace our festival. So we thank Strathmore for their participation. To Pablo's left is William Moore, and William Moore and Omar Lazo and I the Wheaton Urban District Advisory Committee. When the idea for the parade was first circulated, we were trying to think, well, how can we activate the A&E district? And we had the Taste of Wheaton, and we wanted to have a bookend in the fall. And so they have been with this idea from the start. William is the president of the Chamber of Commerce. He's the owner of the IHOP, and he has been active in all of the parades and festivals. So thank you. To his left is a graphic designer, and Laura Lee Palmer. Laura Lee is wearing the T-shirt that she helped design in our very first year, but she also is an artist at the gallery. She has been in every parade. She also does chalk art for the kids. And I'll say something about the T-shirt and the posters. Every year we have a contest for high school and college students. And this one was created by a student at the MICA, the Maryland College of Art. Did I get it right? Anyway, Maryland Institute College of Art, Miriam Fuentes Romero. And every year we advertise in December, and we hope that we'll get lots of applicants. They can win a little money, $300, and their school gets money for art supplies. And next to Laura Lee, Alexandra Slezak, who is the creator of one of this year's pyramids, giant pyramid. It's great to see. It creates an optical illusion. There's a lot of design, abstract design in it. She has also been an artist at our gallery, and she has also been in the parade. So that's Alexander Slezak. I already mentioned Omar Lazo. Not only is he has been a member of WUDAC, but he's also on the chamber. He's also on our board, thankfully, and he also owns the Los Chorros restaurant. And every year they're bringing pupusas to the parade and festival. Thank you, Omar. To Omar's left is Paige Friedemann, and Paige first came to meet us in 2017, and she was an origami artist, but she's also a dancer. And our first year, she had origami on a totem, carrying it in the parade. But after that, she led the summer workshops to create community floats. There's a giant walrus, there's a giant dragon. These were all done under her leadership. And then 2 years ago, she started taking over the management of the gallery. So thank you, Paige. And to Paige's left is Vicki Searles. Vicki is a watercolorist, a she's an artist. She's holding a print of an oil pastel that she did of the 2020 pyramid installation. We couldn't have the parade that year because of the pandemic. Actually, it was Paige's idea to have public art, and I said, well, it's got to be a triangle. So the tetrahedron has become something of a motif for us. And so Vicki did this in a session of plein air organized by gallery artists, many of them with the Montgomery Art Association. We have connections to Gallery 209, Artists and Makers. We invite artists from all. I'm not an artist. I had to try and bring artists together. Anyway, so Vicki is also the administrator for the Chamber of Commerce, and she exhibits at our gallery. But this is just a handful of the spirit. I remember that very first year, after it was over, it was like, can you believe this is Wheaton? And it was a sunny day, a warm day, hot for December, and there were a lot of hugs, a lot of love. And after we did it, we had to keep doing it. And with your support, I hope we'll keep doing it forever. Felisa Fetterman. I won't. The reason I didn't mention this poster was because it wasn't done by a student, because this past year we only had 6 applicants, and it was a little bit of a disappointment. So we opened it up to all artists, and this, again, you can see the tetrahedron taking prominence, and this was done by Kat Brenowitz, a graphic artist. Felisa Fetterman, thank you, I'm glad you made it. Felisa did one of the first pyramids, the 4-footers, back in 2020, but she also is a fabric artist, she's a teacher, she has been exhibiting in our gallery, and she is one of the founders of the Yarn Bomb, she and Edith Salazar. So thank you very much, Felisa.
Well, and I think that we do need to acknowledge, Dan, that you are an artist, because it was, that vision, that creativity that has brought us this extraordinary tradition that will remain in Wheaton. So a round of applause for Dan. And really, in recognition and gratitude to all the artists, all the volunteers, everyone, because as I said earlier, I think the pandemic more than anything also reminded us of the importance of art. Many people really clung to art to be able to navigate this very stressful time. And I think now in Wheaton, once again, we will be able to see how this is going to evolve. And it's already anticipated every year by the community, but it's a wonderful way to also capture this extraordinary part of the county that is home to people from all over the world, and they can bring and they can showcase through art their own traditions, and also we can be reminded of what unites us, and we can celebrate our differences through art. So this is truly a lot more than what you see here, and so every year just mark your calendars and be on the lookout, because you first have to go make sure you tour the pyramids, but then also look forward to participating in the parade. So now we're going to take a photo. Yes?
We wanted to present this, we won't remember this except for the photo, but if council would do us the honor of hanging this painting on your walls, in your corridors, maybe when you pass by it, you'll think of how we all got started.
Of course, yes, we will. We will turn this over so it can be utilized and we can have a legacy and live here in the county council building, where a lot of that redevelopment was decided. So this will be a really nice memento. All right, let's do the picture. And we'll hold it, and Dan, you come and hold it.
All right, thank you all so much for that important presentation. I've had the opportunity to attend every single one of the Wheaton's Arts Parades, and they've all been outstanding, and do want to thank Councilmember Navarro for taking the time to recognize this very successful event. If we could ask everybody if you encourage the talking, but just if you could do it out in the hallway, that would be great. Oh, I like that. All right, we move on now to item number 7. This is a public hearing on Bill 2722, Administration, Inspector General Powers and Duties. This bill would modify requirements regarding the removal of the Inspector General, modify requirements regarding the projected budget of the Inspector General, modify the powers and duties of the Inspector General, modify access to information by the Inspector General, and generally amend laws regarding the Inspector General and Office of the Inspector General. Persons wishing to submit additional material for the Council's consideration should do so before the close of business on November 8th. We have 3 speakers for this public hearing. Our first speaker is Susan Laban, who will also be speaking to item number 8, and so she will have 4 minutes for her testimony, and she is testifying virtually. You may begin.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I am a longtime resident of Montgomery County. I live in Bethesda. I want to start by noting when President Albornoz and Vice President Glass expressed their hope that the new temporary planning board will inspire trust and confidence. I'd like us to try to accomplish these goals and think about them as we think about the kind of independence that we want the IG office to have. The council extolled the candidates for the new board as examples of the talent and skill of Montgomery County residents. And I'd like us to think about drawing on the talents and skills and encouraging the council to engage with residents in greater transparency. In regards to the specific changes to the IG bill, I do have some thoughts on this because I am a former employee of the GAO, which, as you all know, is a major oversight agency in the federal government. And it's never an easy job to be an internal independent voice, but it is a critical role of the IG and in support of democracy. And I urge the council to strengthen the IG and its oversight in the county with the following suggestions. Maintain the 2/3 required, which is the number of votes should be 8 out of 11, not 7. A public hearing should be required for any proposed removal of an IG. And we should retain the IG power over the MNCPP because the council, the residents deserve the protection of more oversight rather than less. So quickly moving to some of the issues on the rules of change with the same spirit, I'd like to first mention my opposition to the amendment that would remove the requirement that amendments be in writing and subject to advertisement. I think it's important that all amendments be subject to the same rules for public disclosure. And I would suggest that we retain 2/3, and 2/3 be defined as 8 out of 11, not 7 votes. I think that notice of meeting should have 48 hours of notice, and public hearings should go back to 3 minutes per speaker and accommodate a minimum of 50% of those requesting to speak. In terms of informal work groups, I suggest that you include stakeholder groups that consist of a majority of residents, that and on open meetings, that the spirit of the law should be abided by, so that if meetings with chiefs of staff are making major decisions, those minutes should be published in public. About attendance for virtual, I would think that if you have a policy approach, that members should be able to have to be present with virtual, or granted an exception by either the president or the vice president. So I thank you for your opportunity to add my voice to your consideration of these important changes for the council. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we will hear from Megan Davey Lamarzi. Ms. Lamarzi.
Good afternoon, Council President Albornoz, Council Vice President Katz, and all of the members of the County Council. For the record, I'm Inspector General Megan Davey Lamarzi. I am here today to speak in favor of Bill 2722, which amends county law regarding the powers and duties of the Office of the Inspector General. I'd like to begin this afternoon by thanking the members of the Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee for sponsoring this legislation and introducing the bill. The modifications that are before you will enhance the OIG's ability to effectively provide the oversight that is both necessary and expected in a jurisdiction such as Montgomery County, one with over about a $6.5 billion budget and over 1 million residents receiving services and enjoying the programs we have here. Bill 2722 includes a series of amendments to county law. The language contained therein generally updates certain sections of the law, such as the change in the makeup of the council from 9 to 11 members, applies principles of inclusive language, and aligns the law's timing requirements for the IG to present the proposed budget and 4-year work plan that's required after appointment. Additional changes contained in the bill would strengthen the OIG's authorities, ensure unfiltered access to documents and information, and remediate ambiguities related to the OIG's access to contractors, as well as audits that are done on behalf of the county. Furthermore, the bill strengthens the OIG's subpoena powers. It provides explicit protections against retaliation, not only to employees or contractors, as the law states now, but anyone who comes forward and presents a complaint, an allegation of fraud, waste, abuse, or mismanagement in the county. The Association of Inspectors General principles and standards for offices of Inspectors General, the governing standards we follow in much of our work, and that organization's model legislation detail best practices and the essential powers for inclusion in enabling legislation so that an Office of Inspector General is afforded ample tools to do its business in a manner of the highest quality. The changes in Bill 2722 align with those principles and will further the Montgomery County Office of Inspector General's ability to produce the work that is timely, fair, objective, reliable, and accurate. I thank you again for your support of the office and this legislation.
Thank you very much, Inspector General Lamarzi, for your service and for your testimony. Next, we will hear from Gordy Brent.
I'm live. Gordy
Yep.
Brenny with the Taxpayers League. The proposed bill doesn't go far enough in addressing risks and should be tabled for more work. First of all, internal control effectiveness. Financial auditors perform only limited testing and do not provide an opinion on overall control effectiveness. It's been 4 years since the bank fraud, and there still hasn't been an opinion statement from the OIG on the controls. This should be an annual reporting process based on the management's self-assessments. Also, the work plan should provide for more public input. Governance, number 2. The audit committee provides oversight, but lacks audit, internal control, fraud prevention standard expertise. Further, council member participation gives the appearance of a conflict of interest between resource allocation and fraud, waste, and abuse. Baltimore has added outside members to include AICPA and certified fraud examiner representatives to address this. 3, MCPS OIG. Incredibly, this $3 billion organization doesn't have an OIG or an annual opinion on control effectiveness. The state's OLA audit cycle is once every 6 years. And it only does a limited review that would not have prevented or detected the transportation unit embezzlement last year, $800,000. The compromise struck 3 years ago to have the county OIG cover MCPS does not include contract risks. 45% of MCPS's spending goes to non-instruction overhead. The county OLO can continue to independently evaluate MCPS instruction programs, but think of the OIG as an insurance policy for the other half of the budget. That will pay for its costs. WSSC coordination. Number 4, state law provides for a taxpayer bailout with property tax increase if WSSC can't pay debt service. The recession risk will increase WSSC's already low cash balance problem, and the county's OIG should monitor and report annually on the likely property tax impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bruni. That concludes our speakers for this public hearing, and so this public hearing is now closed. That moves us on to item number 8. This is a public hearing on a resolution to amend the council rules of procedure. Council work session and action is tentatively scheduled for November 15th. Persons wishing to submit additional material for the council's consideration should do so before the close of business on November 10th. There are no speakers for this public hearing, and so this public hearing is now closed. That moves us on to legislative session, day number 31, introduction of bills. The first bill is Expedited Bill 2922, Local Laws, Updates to Required Numbers of Council Votes. The lead sponsor is myself. The public hearing and action is scheduled for November 29th. I'll now ask Ms. Wellens to tee this one up.
Thank you, Mr. President and council members. Good afternoon. The bill 29-22, Local Laws, Updates to Required Number of Council Member Votes. It would do just that. It would update the numbers of votes required throughout the code to be consistent with the changes to the charter that are taking effect this December, expanding the council from 9 members to 11 members. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That bill is now introduced.
Mr. President.
Oh, yes. Councilmember Rice.
Thank you. So, Ms. Wellens, I had a question because it's come to my attention that there's a policy and procedure that we have regarding outgoing council members to where outgoing council members aren't actually eligible based on age for something that's afforded, something that's similar and akin to what's changed. I know this bill is a vehicle to update some of the changes that were made based on the charter. I know the charter was also amended based on term limits. And so would it not be appropriate for us to address something that was a discriminatory issue with this bill, or would it have to be a separate bill?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Rice. I would like to research that before giving you a response.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
That bill is now introduced. We now move on to item B, Expedited Bill 3022, Buildings, Demolition, or Removal. Lead sponsor is Councilmembers Hucker and Reamer, and a public hearing is scheduled for November 29th. I'll turn it over to Councilmember Hucker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a very reasonable little corrective bill that will close a loophole that allows for a house to be substantially changed without obtaining a demolition permit. By using this loophole, a contractor can essentially market a structure and sell it as a new home without obtaining the appropriate permit. Instead, the permit they apply for is just for alterations or renovations. And when that happens, the contractor is not required to provide a warranty that comes with a new home. The bill requires that when a building is substantially demolished, a demolition permit is required, and any home rebuilt on that site would require a new construction permit. Applying for the permit triggers stricter obligation on the part of the applicant, including a requirement that water and other utilities are properly disconnected, that there's compliance with safeguards to abate pest control issues, and any negative environmental impact like asbestos or lead. Those same safeguards don't apply to alteration permits, and they don't cover stormwater management either. We are seeing an increasing number of practices like this in the county, unfortunately, and we shouldn't allow substantial changes to a house that jeopardize the lives of owners and restrict the protections that a new home buyer should be entitled to. So I want to thank Councilmember Reamer for co-lead sponsoring this with me. The bill is helpfully supported by the Maryland Building and Industry Association, the Office of Consumer Protection, and the Department of Permitting Services. So I want to thank all of them for their support. Finally, I look forward to working with all the stakeholders and my colleagues to ensure that we can enact this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Reamer, did you want to add anything? Okay. All right, great. Ms. Coney, did you want to add anything?
No, I think it's been adequately covered, except, just the technical changes, the definition of the word demolish. And that will be expanded so that 67% of, when you tear down 67% of a building, that will also be considered a demolition.
Thank you for that. So public hearing is scheduled for November 29th at 1:30, and so that bill has now officially been introduced, which takes us on to item C, Expedited Bill 3122, Finance, Economic Development Fund, Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer Matching Grant Program. Lead sponsors are Council Members Reamer, Jawando, and Friedson. A public hearing and action is scheduled for November 29th at 1:30. Which of my colleagues would like to tee this one up? Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you. The Fed Committee is seeking to enact this legislation as part of our ongoing efforts at the committee over the past few years to highlight the growth of sectors, particularly life sciences, but also including defense and HHS and energy, where we have a lot of entrepreneurs and companies that are starting here and are gaining access to the federal SBIR grants, which are grants for entrepreneurs as they're starting their companies. We have a terrific matching program. We're one of the few local governments, if perhaps even the only in the country, to do a matching program. And we wanted to reconfigure how that program works to provide more targeted support where it can have a bigger impact. The initial formulation of the program was simply a match to the grant, and we'd like to provide pre-grant assistance, we call it phase 0, and so on. We want to be able to have a more complex strategy to help companies as they're getting going. So want to give a shout out to Councilmember Glass, who introduced legislation in this genre a couple of years ago, and I know has been following this closely with interest. And this will, I think, allow us to reformulate the program in a helpful way. We've gotten input from a lot of our economic development organizations. And thank you to Christine for a very quick job drafting this. We had a Fed committee meeting on the topic, I think, only about 2 weeks ago. And here we are. So thanks to the Council President for putting it on the agenda. And we're hoping to just get this enacted before the end of this council term, allowing for the improvement in the strategy of the program to be put into place and see our continued progress in all of these areas, creating new companies and more jobs. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Navarro wanted to speak.
Yes, Mr. President, I just wanted to be added as a co-sponsor, and I want to thank the Fed Committee for putting this forward.
Councilmember Rice would also like to be added as a co-sponsor. Councilmember Katz. I'd like to as well. Let's make it a party. All right. All right, so that bill is now officially introduced. Which takes us to item number 10, call of bills for final reading. And we start with Bill 1222, Electricity Board of Electrical Examiners Licenses Permit Requirements. The Transportation and Environment Committee recommends enactment with amendments. I'll turn it over to the chair of the T&E Committee to make any opening comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome, everybody. Bill 1222, I'm sure you remember in detail. It's a rewrite of Chapter 17, governing electricity in the county code. Under the bill, the proposed changes eliminate the Board of Electrical Examiners, since many of its previous functions will now be handled by the state. After the passage of state legislation, the jurisdiction over appeals will be given to the County Board of Appeals. Third parties will be allowed to review permit applications for residential photovoltaic systems, such as rooftop solar, to streamline the permitting process, which will be a significant move in the right direction. I think we've probably all heard complaints about those delays for years, and many definitions and corresponding provisions have been removed, since the only remaining local license will be the low voltage electrician license. The homeowner license permit was retained because a state license is required to provide service for compensation, and the homeowner's license does not fit this category. The committee met on October 3rd and recommended approval with amendments. Let me see if Ms. Ndu, who did a great job on this bill, as usual, has anything to add. With your permission, Mr. Chair. President. Yep.
So for the amendment, the council, I'm sure you've seen, received a lot of testimony requesting that the low voltage license be removed, and the county executive, before the committee work session, submitted a letter saying he agreed with that change. So the amendment that the T&E committee recommends is removing the low voltage license. That whole category is just entirely removed from the amended bill. So that was the amendment recommended by the committee.
Great. I don't see any questions or comments from colleagues, and so with that, I think we can go to the roll call vote.
Mr. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Katz votes yes. Mr. Giwando?
Yes.
Mr. Giwando votes yes. Mr. Reamer?
Yes.
Mr. Reamer votes yes. Mr. Hucker?
Yes.
Mr. Hucker votes yes. Ms. Navarro?
Yes.
Ms. Navarro votes yes. Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Rice votes yes. Mr. Friedson?
Yes.
Mr. Friedson votes yes. Mr. Glass?
Yes.
Mr. Glass votes yes. Mr. Albornoz?
Yes.
Mr. Albornoz votes yes.
All right, let the record show that passes unanimously. That moves us on to item B, which is Bill 1722, Public Ethics Law with amendments. The Government Operations Committee recommends enactment with amendments. I'll turn it over to the Chair of the Government Operations Committee, Councilmember Navarro, to tee this up.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm actually going to turn it over to my colleague, Councilmember Katz, because I wasn't president of that committee, and he chaired this item.
Thank you very much, Madam Committee Chair, and obviously you were greatly missed. That's why Councilmember Friedson and I got through the meeting. It was a 2-0 vote in favor of this Bill 1722, which would define terms under the public ethics law. It alters ethics requirements related to procurement, prohibits retaliation against individuals for communicating with the Ethics Commission, and alters the required contents of financial disclosure statements. After the bill received the favorable report, we did hear from Ms. Wellens, who did an extremely good job once again on the packet, that there is a typo, and if it meets with your approval, I'm going to ask her to explain what needs to be done for the typo correction, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So I'll draw your attention to the very end of the packet. Right after Circle 65, there is an addendum explaining the needed correction, and actually thank you to Mr. Cobb, who brought this to my attention. There is a reference in lines 154 and 155 of the bill. There's a reference to 50% that actually, per state law, must be 25%. So that correction would need to be made. Thank you.
And I would so move that amendment or correction. I guess it's an amendment. I would so move it.
I think without objection on that one. Yep. Great. Amended.
And thank you, Mr. President. And then since you amended the committee report, we'll need another motion.
Okay. Hearing no other questions or comments from colleagues, can I get a motion to accept the public ethics law as amended by us just now? Moved by Councilmember Friedson, seconded by Councilmember Katz. Now let's go to the roll call vote.
Mr. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Katz votes yes. Mr. Juando?
Yes.
Mr. Juando votes yes. Mr. Reamer?
Yes.
Mr. Reamer votes yes. Mr. Hucker?
Yes.
Mr. Hucker votes yes. Ms. Navarro?
Yes.
Ms. Navarro votes yes. Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Rice votes yes. Mr. Friedson?
Yes.
Mr. Friedson votes yes. Mr. Glass?
Yes.
Mr. Glass votes yes. Mr. Albornoz?
Yes.
Mr. Albornoz votes yes.
All right, let the record show that that passes unanimously. That takes us on to item C, which is Bill 2622, Landlord-Tenant Relations, Radon Testing and Mitigation. Fed Committee recommends enactment with amendments. I'll turn it over to Chair Reamer to tee this one up.
All right. Well, I'm sure the sponsor of the bill, Councilmember Rice, would like to share a few comments. I could turn it to him and then come back to me to walk through the committee recommendation.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I'll be brief. I had a chance to talk about this on its introduction, but it is interesting that we had the Commission on Health talking about environmental health today. And this is exactly one of those bills that lines up with that. Many of our lower socioeconomic residents live in a lot of our housing that is apartment buildings, and so ensuring that we have radon testing and mitigation that's done in our apartment buildings just as it's done in our single-family homes, which we passed earlier in this council, is incredibly important to the safety of all of our residents. And so I really want to thank, again, all of the partners, our Greater Capital Area Association of Realtors, our apartment office building association, who all came out and worked with my office to come up with great recommendations and amendments. I know there have been some amendments that have been proposed, and I agree with Ms. McCartney Green, who has done an amazing job of being able to take something that seems so simple, keeping people from being exposed to radon, and really making it such that we're doing something that doesn't have negative impacts on folks. So, Ms. McCartney Green, I really want to thank you for your professionalism and your great work. It has been absolutely amazing and made it so much easier, at least for this council member, and I'm sure for the Fed Committee, to do their great work in moving this forward. So with that, I really want to thank the Fed Committee for all of their due diligence as well, and of course my staff, who has done an amazing job. Sharon Ledner, my Chief of Staff, and Kristen Tribble, my former Deputy Chief of Staff, for all of their great work as well. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Well, you stole the thunder from the committee chair there to thank the committee staff for their great work. So, Ms. McCartney Green, appreciate your work on this bill very much. All right. So, there are many different elements here, but this is a very straightforward bill that seeks to require testing of rental units that are most at risk of having exposure to radon for the folks living in those units, and also to require action by the property owner to mitigate radon. So that is an important objective to keep our tenant community safe. And with that, I think I'll turn it to council staff to try to walk us through some of the highlights. I believe we have an amendment that is staff recommended that came up, so we want to make sure we get to that, and we have some that are not staff recommended, and if others want to raise them, they can, but we don't have to go into them unless a council member moves them. So I'll turn it to you, Ms. McCartney Green, if you can walk us through the legislation, please.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Reamer and Councilmember Rice, and good afternoon, council members. Just a overview of the key discussions that took place during the Fed Committee work session that was held on October 28th. So there were a few amendments, and the first amendment was to narrow the scope and require radon testing only for ground contact and basement units. Require landlord to mitigate elevated levels of radon below the EPA's action level of 4 percuries per level instead of 2 percuries per liter. Excuse me. Also require landlord to provide a copy of the test results that indicate radon levels have been mitigated or reduced. Clarify a landlord is responsible for the cost of any follow-up or retesting of a unit. Provide a procedure to resolve conflicting test results. Require a tenant to provide the landlord notice of the intent to vacate the premises, and delay the effective date of this bill until July 1st, 2023. And so that was in the original packet that was posted on October 27th. Since that packet, there is an amendment that we received from DHTA that wanted to amend the language for the notice from the tenant provision. So that's in an addendum. And if we can turn to page 2 in the addendum, and it's considered proposed amendment number 2, it would clarify the notice of termination should be in writing and can be effective immediately or is agreed upon by the landlord and tenant. And so,
Pardon me, if I could just pause you for one moment. So that would be page 50 of the PDF, I think, for my colleagues, 50 of 59, memorandum addendum. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. And so this is amending lines 93 through 95, and I read into the record. The amendment would say, a tenant must provide in writing to the landlord a notice of the intent to terminate and vacate the premises. The notice may be effective immediately upon receipt by the landlord or is agreed upon by both parties to allow the tenant to find alternative housing. Council staff agrees with this amendment and would ask for the council to consider adopting it.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that amendment.
Got a motion to move the amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Weimer. Is there a discussion?
So I'll just say this again if that's okay. So we talked about the issue of the tenant being able to terminate the lease, because if the landlord is not able or not willing to mitigate the radon to the EPA's accepted level, then at that point that tenant may want to leave, which I would certainly understand. So this amendment ensures that the tenant can provide that, will provide that in writing, and then that tenant can leave either immediately or as agreed upon by both parties to allow the tenant to find alternative housing. So does that mean that the notice, it's not a notice to, it's no longer a notice to terminate the lease? It's a...
It may have a delayed date, and so between a landlord and a tenant, they may say, I'm vacating in the next, 14 days, and so it would be immediate. It's the alternative of effective immediately, and so that just gives the opportunity for both parties to work on a subsequent agreement.
Okay, great, thank you. So it's still immediate. The tenant still has the right to terminate immediately.
Correct.
But there's an opportunity for the landlord to provide alternative housing while they work on an agreement.
Or alternative timing, so just the time frame. So if
right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Joando.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we had a lot of discussion in the committee about it, and I think this covers the intent. We obviously want the parties to work it out, but we also want to give the option that if it is an unsafe situation, that the tenant can leave at no cost.
Correct.
The other thing that we talked about that is not handled here, but we do need to come back to, for the millions watching at home, is what happens if there isn't an agreement. We passed a bill last year or the year before that I introduced that provides for temporary and long-term relocation fees in the case of a condemned property. This is another example of kind of in that middle ground, so we're gonna have to come back to it in another bill, but just wanted to raise that. But I think this is a good resolution, and I support the amendment as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I probably should say, as I did at the committee, I've been advised by council attorneys over the years that I can legislate on these matters, provided that I disclose I do own, my wife and I do own 2 rental properties. So thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of that amendment, please raise your hands. And that is unanimous. Anything else, Ms. McGrath?
And so we can take a roll call vote now on the motion from the Fed committee.
Great. Can I get a motion to
I'd like to move the amended bill.
Perfect. Now we can go to the roll call vote. Seconded was Councilmember Rice. And motion by Councilmember Joando.
Mr. Katz?
Yes.
Mr. Katz votes yes. Mr. Joando?
Yes.
Mr. Joando votes yes. Mr. Reamer?
Yes.
Mr. Reamer votes yes. Mr. Hucker?
Yes.
Mr. Hucker votes yes. Ms. Navarro?
Yes.
Ms. Navarro votes yes. Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Rice votes yes. Mr. Friedson?
Yes.
Mr. Friedson votes yes. Mr. Glass?
Yes.
Mr. Glass votes yes. Mr. Albornoz?
Yes.
Mr. Albornoz votes yes.
All right, let the record show that that passes unanimously as well. That moves us on to item number 11, which is an action, and that's the confirmation of the county executive's appointment as Assistant Chief of Police. And we want to thank Captain Augustine for his excellent interview this morning, but more importantly, his remarkable public service over his entire professional career. And by extension, we want to congratulate and thank his family. I really enjoyed hearing the story and background and context of Captain Augustine's origin story. It was fabulous, and he makes all of us proud, and we know he makes you proud as well. So with that, colleagues, can I get a motion to, yes, Councilmember Katz?
It would be my honor to make the motion to change from the acting Assistant Chief of Police, Nicholas Augustine, to Assistant Chief of Police, Nicholas Augustine.
And is there a second? Second by Councilmember Rice. Somebody's got to get a camera because we're about to raise our hands and it's going to be unanimous. All right. All right. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Smile, everyone. And that is unanimous. Congratulations.
Now you realize Pete Pieringer would have turned that camera around and gotten in the picture.
That's right. That's right. All right. There is some late breaking news.
We are going to postpone.
Yes, we are.
We're asking to postpone agenda item number 12 until we can get further clarification, and we plan to pick that up at our next council meeting.
Okay. All right. So that item will be postponed until the 15th. So with that, I believe we are adjourned, colleagues. Thank you all very much.